So as we all know, upon the conclusion of this season, we're going to be launched straight into an OG season. This time, instead of Chapter 1, we're going back to Chapter 2, specifically the first 3 seasons. Chapter 2 was an awesome time in Fortnite, and we are getting the first 3 seasons, and I mean, these seasons were really good, but a certain problem arises. Do these Chapter 2 seasons have the same draw as the revisit of the entirety of Chapter 1 we got last year? So in today's video, we'll be going over the one major problem that I foresee within this upcoming OG season. This will probably be a pretty controversial video, so I repent for my sins in advance, and make sure you like the video, smash that subscribe button, and use code etc in the Fortnite item shop. Alright, let's begin here.
It could be you. It could be me. It could even...
Look, I love Chapter 2 as much as the next guy. I mean, I'm something of an OG myself, and I'd still say that Chapter 2, overall, was better than Chapter 1, hot take. But Chapter 1 was definitely better in map changes, I think we can all agree on that. But anyways, Chapter 2 is one of the most popular times in Fortnite. I mean, Epic was constantly bragging at the time about how many players their live events drew in. But was it really? Besides the live events and the occasional collaboration, Fortnite was not really in the cultural zeitgeist at the time. I mean, 2020, we don't remember Fortnite when we first think about it in terms of gaming. We think of Among Us. This 3-season period that we are getting in this OG season are also the longest seasons in Fortnite's history. I mean, Chapter 2 Season 1 is a good season, but its ending got delayed so much that its perception was ruined forever. Chapter 2 Season 2 also got delayed, but that was fine because this delay wasn't for almost a full month. For me at least, when I think of OG Fortnite, only one thing comes to mind. Coming home from school in 2018, hopping on with my buddies from school, and playing Chapter 1 Season 3. Those were the good old days, and I loved every second of it. I'm sure countless people all across the world had the same experience as I did. This is why Chapter 1 OG was so popular. Tens of millions of players all across the world have nostalgia for this era, this chapter of Fortnite, because it was something special. Hell, the release of Chapter 1 OG really contributed to the lessening of the stigma of Fortnite being a cringe game, because everyone and their mother were talking about it and playing it. Everyone loves Chapter 1, especially the early parts of it. The visuals, the style, the weapons, and most importantly, the locations. Why do you think Epic always brings back Tilted Towers, Pleasant Park, Retail Row? It's because they are iconic, and no new location comes close to them. My point and my entire thesis for this problem with Chapter 2 OG is this. Does Chapter 2 have the same draw as Chapter 1? Sure, it was a fun time in Fortnite. I remember Top Secret fondly, and it was revolutionary at the time. But do people have the same nostalgia for Chapter 2 as they do for Chapter 1? Don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to this OG season, as I really do enjoy Chapter 2, and I'd be willing to eat my words if this mode does end up being as popular as OG Chapter 1. But that's just the thing, I don't really know if this will be as popular as OG Chapter 1. So you may be saying, okay, then what would we have gotten if not Chapter 2 OG this year? Chapter 1 OG? Well, there's a problem with another year of Chapter 1 OG. Let me use Reload as an example. We got Reload in the middle of this year, and it was extremely popular. Not as popular as OG Chapter 1 though. It's now around the same place as Core Battle Royale, some days around 100,000 less players. But this is a permanent mode, you may be saying. A Chapter 1 OG would work because it's time limited. Wrong. Chapter 1 OG worked due to very specific circumstances surrounding its release. People were starting to become nostalgic for Chapter 1, and people on the outside were looking in, seeing how far the game had strayed away from its roots. Another year of OG Chapter 1 wouldn't work, as it'd end up just like Reload, a moderate success. People have already had a taste of Chapter 1 OG, and probably wouldn't care that much if Chapter 1 OG becomes a yearly thing. There's no hype going into another return of Chapter 1 if it's already happened before. But I'm going off topic here, this is about Chapter 2 OG. Chapter 2 OG is a great idea in theory. There were probably a ton of people playing Fortnite during the lockdown in 2020, but Chapter 2 doesn't have the same nostalgia factor as Chapter 1, and most importantly, it's not OG. OG in terms of Fortnite, at least for me, is Chapter 1 in general. And if we are being specific, Seasons 1 to 3 or 4. The reason that Chapter 1 OG was OG is because we were going back to the original map. Chapter 2 is not the original map. It is the second map. Maybe there's new branding for Chapter 2 OG, maybe not. All I know is that Chapter 2 is not OG in the same way that Chapter 1 is. There's also another aspect to this whole equation, and that is streamers. The people who play this game and live stream it to millions of people. Countless funny moments from OG come from streamers, with thousands of people tuning in to watch Tyler Richard Ninja Fortnite Blevins play the OG map with the OG weapons and all the OG locations there, like in the good old days. This cannot be said for Chapter 2. How many people will be watching streamers play Chapter 2 OG? And how many streamers will actually play Chapter 2 OG? I can guarantee you it's not as much as a Chapter 1 OG. But yeah, overall, I just don't know if there will be the same type of hype behind a Chapter 2 OG as there is for Chapter 1. I trust that Fortnite knows this, however, so I'm interested to see what they will do to counter this. Maybe a big advertising push for the game leading up to it, with Fortnitemares in the end of the Marvel season. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if we get a live event leading into this OG season, just to build extra hype. But all that being said, in general, OG is going to have issues if they keep doing it every year. Player counts in each OG season will definitely diminish, as there isn't really an element of FOMO if this is a yearly thing. So how would I fix this issue?
Riding round in a Rover. If I see ops and it's over, I'll send man straight to Jehovah when I take shots like M. Sharapova.
Alright, here's my fix. Instead of annual OG, we get OG every other year. Or maybe we just ditch OG for a while and return it every 4 years. By doing this, we are able to build hype for OG and its return, therefore getting a lot more eyes on the game, while in comparison to a yearly OG, which may seem like Epic is creatively bankrupt. It can also give OG a great development cycle so they can do more with it. Who knows, maybe they give us different themes for an OG Chapter 1, and maybe even what ifs. A cool one could be the Chapter 2 seasons happening on the Chapter 1 map, with better map changes of course. Also, another fix, which I mentioned in my last video, is that they can completely ditch OG and maybe do something like a 1-month collab season, so that number one, they make all the money they want from these collab seasons, because as we all know, Epic likes money. Number two, since it would only last a month, the community shouldn't be too mad about it. And number three, it could get us a ton of cool characters in Fortnite, and they will be able to go as crazy as possible with the collab items. Hell, the greatest fix of them all is just ridding us of annual chapters. Please end this tormentuous cycle, Fortnite. End my suffering.
How does anyone find that funny? I mean, seriously, how does anyone find that funny? If you laughed at it, there's something seriously wrong with you.
I don't know how many times I've said this, but every single time it rings true. We are in a very exciting time for Fortnite, with this Marvel season, which I'm sure will be remembered fondly a few months down the line, and also the prospect of Fortnitemares and Chapter 6. Chapter 2 OG does have its issues in not being as big as Chapter 1 OG, but at the end of the day, does it matter? Chapter 2, in my opinion, was when Fortnite was at its best, and seasons such as Chapter 2 Season 2 and Chapter 2 Season 3 reflect this. Even though it might not draw the same amount of eyes as Chapter 1 OG did, Chapter 2 OG will still be a great time to experience. But what do you guys think? Do you agree that Chapter 2 OG doesn't have the same draw as Chapter 1 OG? Or do you think that there's a ton of nostalgia for Chapter 2 and it'll do even better? Leave your thoughts in the comments. With all that being said, Fortnite, please bring back chapters longer than 4 seasons, I beg of you. Like and subscribe and use code etc in the Fortnite item shop. See ya.